Okay guys, so we are looking at Excel here, and we are going to be talking about in this video some basic formatting. I'm going to erase what I've got here already so we can get started. Um, we're going to talk a little bit about formatting the cells, okay, because you're going to need to know how to do some basic formatting, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that, okay? I'm going to type in some sample information here so you get an idea of what I'm trying to do. I might have title, I might have column A, column B, column C, and you probably have actual words here. I'm just giving you some sample data here. Let me, all right, just making up some numbers here. Oops. Okay. So you're able to do a lot of different types of things with formatting, okay? And let's see exactly what I mean by that. Just to give you a few different options of things we're going to be looking at. I'm going to right click in one of these and I'm going to come down to format cells. Okay, now when this dialog box pops up, it's going to give me an idea of a lot of different types of things that I can do. It automatically pops up on font, but I want to start over here with number. Now you can format the number to be any different type of number. It can be just a general number. You can tell it if you want to use decimal places, if you want negatives to appear inside of um, um, parentheses or quotations here, parentheses, whether you want to be red, black, if it's negative, okay. You can say if you want to use a dollar sign for currency, if you're using some other, unit of currency for a different country, you could put that there. You can change the way you want the date to appear. I'll show you how that looks here in a second, okay? But you have some different choices. How you want the time to look, if you want it to be time. If you want a percentage or a fraction to look a certain way, so on and so forth. So that applies for numbers, and I'll show you that here in a second what that looks like. We can also choose the alignment of the text. There's both horizontal and vertical alignment. Now this is the same thing as what you're going to see right here on these particular options. So for the horizontal going this way, I can have it be left, right, center, justify like we've talked about. And I can also have it be in the top, the bottom, or the center of the cell. Okay. I can also wrap text, merge cells. We'll talk about that in a second. And I can change the direction. So we'll come back to those in a few minutes. Font, it's pretty basic. Different font types here. You can have the different font styles, whether you want it to be italic, bold italic, the size. You can also do the superscripts and subscripts like you could in Word, or a strike through. Okay, but we're not gonna mess with that right now. We can put borders on cells. Okay, I'll show you what that looks like here in just one second. Okay, we can fill the cells with colors. Now we can do all of these things up here. Okay, but I'm showing you what they look like in the format cells dialog box. Okay, and you don't need to worry about the protection part right now. Okay, all right. So let's take a look and see what some of these things look like. Okay, now I've got some numbers here. Let's say that these are supposed to be dollars and not just general numbers. Okay, I can actually come up here and select that I want it to be a dollar, and I can give it more or less decimal points by clicking this right here. Okay, that's going to be important to note because you might see that come up later. Maybe I want these to actually be percentages. Okay, and since it doesn't have any decimal points, I can't add them or subtract them. Okay, let's go back to the dollar. All right, let's say that I wanted this to be $2,000. Okay, now you'll notice that I have a comma there. Okay, which is good. All right, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to put this as a dollar again. All right, so that's an example of formatting the number. Do you want it to be a dollar? Would you want it to be a percentage? Do you want more or less zeros right here? You have different things that you can choose from, okay, whether you want it to be a date or not. So let's see some options what dates look like. So I'm going to put what we would normally expect to see. I'm just going to make something up, all right? Now, you notice that it recognized it as a date because I only put the number 14 there and it changed it to 2014. And that's because that is the choice that I've made, or that's what's defaulted right now. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to Format Cells. And I'm going to choose that I want it to be this one. Okay, click OK. All right, and it actually changed it to Wednesday, November 12, 2014. And I'm pretty sure that that's actually right. It would be a Wednesday. Okay, let's see if that changes. If I put 13th, let's see if it changes to Thursday, and it does. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that that's going to be correct. All right, I'm going to format the cell again. Let's pick a different kind. All right, let's see here. How about just showing the number, the shorthand of the month, and the date, so the year, shorthand of the month, and the date. Okay, so we can make this look a whole lot of different ways, right? Okay, now one of the things you just saw me do, I don't know if you noticed, was I double click between the columns. Let me show you why I would do that. Let's say that right here I started typing, and this was actually column CDF, okay? You'll notice how this spills over into the next one. As long as there's nothing to the right of it, it will continue to spill over. Now it looks like D and F are in D, but they're actually in C. And so if I double click between, see when I get this this different arrow looking cursor, if I double click, it will actually automatically adjust that to be wide enough, okay? So I want you to notice what I said here. I can start typing a very long sentence. Okay, oops, spelled that wrong, corrected it for me. And it looks like that this sentence is actually in D, E, and F, and actually G a little bit. Well, it's really not. If I click on F9, you notice that it's blank. There's nothing in there. E9, it's blank. There's nothing in there. D9, ooh, there it is, right there, okay? That's because it's just allowing it to spill over. If I was to double click here, it would actually get wide enough to show that it was only in that one, okay? That's going to be very important here in a minute, all right? Okay, so we looked at formatting the numbers. Of course, I can make things bold if I wanted to. All right, we also talked about the alignment, okay? I can make it right, center, left, okay? Make these a little bit bigger so that you can actually see what I'm talking about here. Right, center, left. And if I make it taller, you can see I can go top, middle, bottom, okay? All right. Let's also go and look at the alignment that I talked about. We can actually change the text to be on an angle. Okay, click OK. And you would see them at an angle like that. Now, sometimes we want a sentence in a cell. Now, right now, it actually spills over. So if I was to double click this, it makes this one really wide, and that's not what I want. I actually want it to fit the same way, but I want this to wrap to the next line, okay? So if I right click and go to Format Cells, I can actually click where it says Wrap Text. Now let's watch what this does. It actually makes it tall enough for it to fit the width, but it wraps like a normal page or a number line would in a Word document. It goes automatically to the next line. So that's what wrap text is, okay? I'll put this back to where it was. All right. Okay, let's look at what some of our other options were here real quick. Okay, we talked about the numbers and the different types of numbers that you can have. We talked about the alignment, okay, whether it can be left justified, right justified, center justified, whether it's bottom, top, or middle wrap text. You could shrink the text to fit. That would make it really, really small, okay? We're going to talk about merging cells in a second. Font, I don't think that's a really big one for you, okay? You can get the font type, all of that, the color of the font if you want, no big deal there. So let's talk about borders, and I also want to talk about merging cells, and I also want to talk about fill. We're going to do that all at one time. Okay. Now, you see the lines here, right? The lines are only for you to see whenever you are putting information in. They won't actually print that way, and I can show you, I can prove that to you. If I go to File, and I go to Print, it's going to show me what it looks like. See, there's no lines right there. So if you want lines to be there, you have to put them in, okay? So I'm going to highlight all of my data right here, and I'm going to go up to the borders. Now I'm going to put on all borders. It's just going to give me a simple, clean looking line. All right, now notice how this looks kind of funky, right? And that's because we set it at an angle. I'm actually going to put it the right way so that this looks a little bit better real quick. Oops. There we go. All right, and I'm going to make this my normal height. Okay, so we've got the lines here. Now, right now, title needs to be centered over here. Now, I could just put it in the middle, but that's not really going to help me very much. So what I want to do is called merge and center. So I'm going to highlight all 3 columns, and I'm going to click this box where it says merge and center. What that does is it makes this A1, actually A1, B1, C1, all one cell. So it merges it to one cell, and it centers our text, okay? Merge and center. Now, some of you will try to do this. Highlight the whole thing, merge and center. And it says, no, you can't do that. Cancel. Only, and then some of you will try to merge and center like that. But that just merged and centered it in that one. That doesn't really help us. You actually have to highlight the entire space that you want it to merge and center to. So right there, I selected A, B, and C, so it merged and centered over A, B, and C. Now let me undo that real quick, and I'll show you another thing. Let's say that I did this whole thing, merge and center. It actually will merge A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and center it, okay, because I selected that whole thing. Some of you will click the entire row and click merge and center. Oh, where'd it go? It's actually in the center of the document, way over halfway to infinity, okay? You notice this merged as one big cell. So make sure you only select the cells that you want to merge and center. Okay? All right. I said that we would do the borders we did. We did merge and center. Okay, now we need to do some fill. All right, I actually want this to look nice. Okay, so I'm going to give this a red font. How about a gray background? Oh, that's good. All right, how about we make this a lot bigger, and let's bold it. Great. Okay, starting to look good. Now, one thing about Excel, when you have a lot of data, sometimes it's really hard to see the difference between your columns here. So one thing I like to do is break it up a little bit. So I'm going to highlight this one, and I'm going to come in and fill this with a light gray, okay? That way you can see the difference really clearly. I'm also going to center these, make it look a little nicer. And you know what, maybe I might give this a thick box border to make it stand out a little bit more, okay? So that gives us a little bit of different look. So we looked at filling, we also looked at using borders, we also looked at using the grid, okay, or the borders right here. We also merged and centered our title. Okay, so far in this video we've done quite a few things. We have entered in data. We have formatted the numbers here. We looked at formatting dates also. We played with changing the number of decimals. We changed it to percentage once. We looked at wrapping the text. We looked at merge and center. We looked at the alignment here. We also looked at a fill. We changed a font color. We added borders. We bolded this one right here. We didn't italicize. We changed the font size, okay? And we also looked at changing the widths. Now, one thing I want to say about changing the widths. As I slide this, you notice that you can see the width change, okay? All right, and we also talked about double clicking. Double clicking makes it the smallest size it can be and fit everything. One other thing though that I want you to see, if I right click on a column, I come down here where it says column width, I can actually type in what I want. So maybe I might put 15. It makes it 15. I can do the same for the row height. Okay, 20. I don't know, just making up numbers here. Okay, that's going to be important. I think you're going to see that soon. All right. Okay, so that's it for this video. I think that that's going to be enough to kind of get you going on this activity today. I want you to do your best, follow all the information, okay? And we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.